Good evening, Chris Lee, Alfred Esmond, and Graham Doty of Southeastern 14 here to react to Game 1 of the championship series of the College Baseball World Series between Tennessee and Texas A&M as we start this. And we scheduled it for 9 Central, thinking we'd be close to the end, but in typical fashion, this game has gone a while. We were watching this in the top of the 6th, so we can sort of react along with the audience to the last 3 innings. This might make for some interesting shelf life later. We'll see how it goes. But we've got a 7-2 Texas A&M lead in the top of the 6th. The Aggies or the visitor here, Marcus Phillips on the mound for Tennessee in relief. I think that's the 4th or 5th Tennessee pitcher. I'll have to count that later. Before I do that, reminder, BetOnline, your number one source for the NBA Finals and Stanley Cup playoffs this season. Every stat, matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game is over, head on over to our online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker, unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today, get in on the action, use promo code BELIEVE. That's all caps, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Well, A&M's control this one pretty early, got a 2-0 lead right off the bat. I don't think it's been the best played game for either team. We've seen mistakes on both sides, particularly Tennessee's defense. Ryan Prager for A&M wasn't as sharp as he's normally been, but the changeup did work pretty well and worked for him in key spots. I think it was a victory for Tennessee, even if the Vols end up losing this game, which at this point with A&M and a 5-run cushion and Tennessee with 12 outs to go, you have to like A&M's odds to win this game. But the interesting thing in these spots is seeing who runs through pitching, because you got 2 more games to play. You got guys going on short rest. So that's a lot we can still unpack between now and the end of the game, as Tennessee is going to – I can't tell who this is.
Oh, I missed it. Yeah.
We'll figure it out. They've gone to commercial here. All we saw was the back of a jersey. Alfred, your thoughts on what we've seen so far in Omaha on Saturday night?
Yeah, you alluded to it, and I'll build on it. Texas A&M got to Stamos, and I'll include Causey in there very early. And I think that's something it was kind of like Stamos getting into trouble. He had 1 earned run, and then Causey just kind of didn't really recover from it. I mean, you look at what he did, 4 earned runs. He did have 5 strikeouts, but again, the runs just kept on coming for Texas A&M, and that was from, a bunch of different people. You had Hayden Schott with an RBI, Gavin Grohovic, who led off the game with a homer against Stamos, going down the list as well. Caden Sorrell with 2 RBIs, as well as Caden Kent. And it's kind of the names we talked about, previewing this series that you've seen A&M kind of have offensively. And that's just been the biggest thing with them. And once they built that lead, it was you almost expected Tennessee to make a run at it in some sort of way, but that hasn't happened yet. So I'll give Ryan Prager credit there. I think you're going to take 2 earned runs in your start against Tennessee any day of the week at this point, and that's exactly what he did. He struck out 6. A lot of Tennessee's hitters looked really off balance. Billy Amick stood out to me as looking pretty off balance when he was up at the plate, and it wasn't just him. There were many others. We saw when Josh Stewart came in just now, he got Dreiling and Ensley, I think it was just an inning ago, really off balance with backdoor breaking balls that were just kind of backbreakers for Tennessee as they had runners on first and second. So that killed them in the end, and A&M hasn't given up anything big to Tennessee's offense. They've obviously plated some runs. They've had 8 hits, but also I'm just getting this on my live stream right now of the game. 3 errors for Tennessee today. One of those, I believe, was Dean Curley bobbling a ball in the infield. And then Reese Chapman, missed a ball in the outfield that allowed an extra 90 feet for A&M's runners, and things like that hurt Tennessee. And here they are now with a 5-run deficit, and more than likely A&M will pull out with this, as it's Andrew Benke on the mound for the Vols.
We just got
that, who has been really good. So hopefully he can come in there and kind of put a stop to this, at least hold the lead as it was. But yeah, I mean, overall, just to recap what I said, A&M got out early, and Prager and Josh Stewart and everyone else just kind of never let them come back in it so far, at least.
Graham, your thoughts on what we've seen? What stood out the most?
what stands out to me, especially with the way this game started, a lot of times I think people forget that these are still young people, 19,
Yeah.
20, 21, and they've had a couple of days to kind of sit around in the hotel and really think
Right.
about this moment. And so when the game finally starts, like it reminded me so much of 2 years ago when Ole Miss played Oklahoma, and you just got the feeling like Oklahoma was so nervous on the biggest stage that uh, college baseball has to offer. And I it just kind of took me back to there. A&M. I mean, they cashed in on an early home run, and then Tennessee with one of those three errors, as Alfred touched on. That was a costly error in the first inning, and a run scored later on. So just to me, that's a big part of it. Like both teams are going to be like who is able to take advantage of the nerves, that aspect of it first. And A&M came out guns blazing in the top of the first, already their presence felt. And then I kind of think it took a little bit for Tennessee just to kind of settle in a little bit. Tennessee, they did have an opportunity in that bottom of the fifth inning. I mean, that was a promising start
Mhm.
or opportunity there for Tennessee. 2 on, nobody out, pitching change, no more Prager, and then I think it was Stewart that's on the mound for A&M. He just came in and just got the job done. So those are kind of the things that I look at. As you guys have said, we still got a ways to go, just the top of the sixth inning. But I do think nerves are something that nobody really likes to talk about or bring up. But to me, that part of it definitely is a
No
big
doubt.
part of a national championship game.
Yeah, you saw Billy Amick feeling it early. I think that look, as many runs that have been scored, and we got 9 right now. Both teams have got to feel like they left a little bit on the table, and this is just a game of breaks and silly things. And like I'm watching one right now. Andrew Binky threw a good pitch. A&M basically reached on a swinging bunt down third, and so they've got runners on the corners. Binky just struck out Hayden Schott on, I guess it was a changeup, and that's about the worst. Schott's had some good swings tonight, and
Yeah.
that's about the only time they've made him look bad. That this middle to bottom of the order has really been crushing it for
Oh
A&M
man.
tonight.
Oh, never mind.
Now, I was going to say you may be ahead of me here.
Yeah, sorry, it was a little tease.
No, that's okay. Yeah, but I mean, like the top of the bottom of the fifth felt like a real shot for Tennessee to get back into this.
It did. It really did.
And Josh Stewart came in. I was crushed, but right out of right field. That's what you saw. I don't know how I'm 20 seconds behind you, but I am.
What do you have, Chris? I have YouTube
I've
TV.
I've got DirecTV Stream,
Okay.
but I think the one in my bonus room behind me is 20 seconds ahead of this one. I don't know why the feeds are so different. I've got one on like a Roku stick and one just on a regular Samsung. But in any case, it's just I could probably restart it. But in any case, nobody listening cares. It's like I get instant replay. We'll look at it that way. You guys see it first, and I get to see the replay. But I thought Stewart coming in and let's see, he got tears to end it. Dylan Dreiling had some really good swings that inning, really good swings. And I just thought he just put 2 pitches because I think he got called strike 3 on Dreiling, and I think he got called strike 3 on Inslee too. And they just were perfect pitches. Like I felt with Dreiling, maybe he caught a little too much of the plate on one of them, but Dreiling was out in front of it and yanked it down the right field line. Dreiling's a lefty for people watching who didn't know. So he just got ahead of it. I feel like Stewart, even when he was like leaving pitches in the hitting zone, his ability to change speeds was kind of throwing off Tennessee's timing. I think if we get to the end of the night and A&M has won this game, we might look back at the 5th inning as a turning point, where Tennessee could have, I'm not going to say taken control, but certainly you get a double there, at 7-4 feels like a different ball game, especially with Tennessee being the home team. And for A&M kind of left one out there too when Kirby Connell picked off who was it? Was it Shot? I don't remember who it was. Somebody just took off and dashed to third. And of course, you got a lefty on the mound. And he really wasn't super fast in realizing what was going on, but his throw to third was a strike.
Yeah.
And that, I think that was the first out of the inning. And you don't get that. Who knows? Maybe you get a couple more hits, maybe attack on a couple more. It's another one, the Kavares Tears catch, one of the defensive plays of the tournament so far. When Tears, who's normally a right fielder, is playing center field, gets on his horse, dives, catches one about a foot off the ground on the track to end, what was it, the fourth or fifth? And there was a runner on second, so it would have at least been another run and maybe – who knows? Maybe a man on second. Who knows where that inning goes? And I think those might have been the same inning. I could be wrong, but I think both teams had some of their. Hey, if we had this to do over again, how would it have looked? With Tennessee, in one scenario getting closer, A&M with another scenario putting some distance between it and Tennessee. But has anybody had a 1-2-3 inning all night? I mean, it feels like we've had traffic all game.
Right.
I'll look that up.
Yeah. I'll double check. I think Prager might have had like at least one, but even he, gave up he gave up some hits as well. I'm looking at how many
he gave
up.
Prager had a 1-2-3.
Yeah.
Okay.
A&M had a 1-2-3 second as well.
Okay. Well, and Prager gave up, if you look beyond that, Prager gave up 8 hits tonight. So Tennessee was able to hit the ball. They just, they've come up short in the RISP department. I call it RISP just for short, but everyone watching knows what I mean. You guys know what I mean. So they came up short in that. That's been just brutal for them. And I think, we mentioned it briefly, moving Tears over to center. That puts Reese Chapman, who had the error, in right. And I think with Ensley DHing, it's just kind of, a different change from what you normally expect. Granted, they did this against FSU the last game, and it seemed to work out. But, you take, like Graham said, you take 2 days off, and, that changes a lot. And that may have changed the kind of dynamic to what was happening out there in the outfield. Whereas, you didn't have as much time between North Carolina and Florida State for it. But I think that may have played a factor into it as well. But, it's been kind of as A&M has had a lot of uncharacteristic things. Tennessee's had so much more, and it's kind of just hurt them here. And like I said, is they're pinch hitting Dalton Bargo, it looks like. So we'll see how that goes. But going forward, I think that the major thing for the Vols is you kind of need to scrap, what you were doing before. And I'm not going to count this out yet. They're in the 6th inning and down 5 runs. They could do that in a heartbeat if they wanted to with this offense. So we just got to wait and see. And the other big thing too, offensively for Tennessee is you look at Christian Moore and Billy Amick tonight. Amick was walked once, but 0 for 5 combined between the two of them. That's very not like Christian Moore at all to do that. He's gotten a hit a game. He's been the best hitter in Omaha, period. So it's just a lot of things you didn't expect from Tennessee, at least to open it. And, here we are in the 6th inning.
The Chapman error didn't end up costing them, but it was just kind of indicative of a team that looks like it's maybe pressing a little bit. And maybe, I don't know if you call what Christian Moore's done tonight pressing. I think Prager's just thrown his timing off. Prager's got a really nice off-speed pitch. And I don't know if there's an arm slot where they throw it out of the same slot where you can't tell what it is out of the hand, but whatever it was, I just feel like Moore was just that much off on his timing. And in baseball, that's everything. Bargo struck out. So that'll give Tennessee 2 outs. Tennessee's had a hit every inning since the first. Now, this is where things get interesting. Even if Tennessee doesn't win this, you can set yourself up really well for the rest of the series by how you handle the rest of your game in terms of what your guys can do on the hill and in terms of what you can do with other pitchers. Like I want to, if I am Tony Vitello, I want to get Josh Stewart out by next inning. I want to make them go to Cortez or Aschenbeck. And look, that may lock up the game, but you've got a 5-run lead. And, those guys, we've seen them. Shaky would be taking some liberties, but like the other night, Aschenbeck left a couple of balls where they could get hit. And he doesn't do that a lot. I mean, you just when the guy's been perfect, you can see little cracks by comparison. Cortez last time out, pitched to 2 batters, threw 8 balls, got yanked. So, Josh Stewart, who's been increasingly a big part of what A&M does, if you can get him through I don't know how long he could go, but if you could get him through a couple more innings, that's big for A&M because you want to keep Aschenbeck and those other guys fresh for games 2 and 3. And if you're Tennessee, let's say you end up losing this game, but you make them use one of those bullets there, that helps you out down the line potentially. Like one of those guys could come out and throw 5 or 6 pitches and be okay for tomorrow. But every little bit helps. I always watch this. Like if you guys remember last year, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Florida blew LSU's doors off in game 2 last year. We can look this up. But I remember watching it and thinking, like, that's a blessing for LSU because what you don't want to be is in a game that you lose by a run and you're throwing all your dudes out there and then they're not ready for a game 3 situation. LSU could use the kind of the Christian Little end of the pitching staff and just let guys throw out there to get hammered. And then it saved its better guys for game 3, which it won. That's another thing too. If you're Tennessee and you lose this and you lose it by multiple runs, the blessing that sometimes, like they're using Marcus Phillips here and Andrew Binky instead of Nate Snead and Aaron Combs. That's a thing to watch too. Sometimes when you are never, I'm not going to say Tennessee's never in the ball game, but sometimes when you are, when the outcome is not much in doubt, the later it goes, that's a little bit of a blessing for the losing team to hold some pitching for games 2 and 3. So I'm kind of watching that for both teams right now. And I guess A&M's not going to get out with the perfect inning because that was a walk to, who was it?
Cal Stark. Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to see Christian Moore again, and we'll see what that looks like against a different lefty than the one he had the first time around.
Your point about LSU, Florida won 24-4.
Yeah.
That was game 2.
Yeah.
No, and even LSU, I think game 1 was 4-3, and it was close. Game 2 was 24-4, and then I just saw it. I think LSU kind of ran the table.
Yeah.
Game 3, so it was just kind of lopsided on all ends towards the end. But it's Tennessee can use it that way. They really, and your point about A&M's pitching, Chris. I mean, if Josh Stewart, it seems like right now, I know he just gave up that walk, but if you look at what he's done prior to that, it's just been 2 walks and 3 strikeouts through an inning and 2/3. I mean, if he keeps that up, he can go most of, if not the rest of this game, and that spells trouble if A&M only uses 2 pitchers tonight, especially tomorrow when you have Lampkin and you have Cortez and Aschenbeck in your back pocket for that game. So, and for a game where you can win the national title straight up, so it's huge, and that's really what Tony V needs to do. And I think Tennessee going forward too, a lot of moments on offense with them. And Tony talked about this. Ooh, someone took a tumble into the cameras. Y'all see it in a sec. But yeah, did not feel good. But with Tennessee's hitting, when they found themselves down and they just got a runner on base, it seemed like the next hitter up, no matter who it was trying to go for the fences. And they would end up coming up short against this slow tempo Ryan Prager pitching, and Josh Stewart stuff. As Chris just saw it, but
you can see exactly how far behind I am.
Right. That'll be good on the replay. But as I was saying, it just their tempo was too fast paced for what A&M was throwing at them. And Tony V made the good point. Hey, we need to shorten up our swings in the dugout interview he had, and I think that's going to be key too going forward for them because they're a team that can just get the ball in the field regardless of the home runs they hit. And I mean, they haven't had one tonight, so that might be a way to look at it heading into tomorrow, no matter what the result is tonight in general.
By the way, I misspoke. Lefty earlier, righty and Stewart now. So now Moore faces a righty after having a lefty that he just couldn't time. And even now his timing looks a little off. You guys are ahead of me, so I don't know how this at bat's going to end, or maybe it hasn't. But like he couldn't check his swing and gets the ball out of the zone. He hit one hard a minute ago into the stands and right, but was just behind on it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we've seen Christian Moore do this before, where
Get ready for another check swing controversy.
Ooh,
Depending on what happens with his next pitch.
let's see where that one went. I don't have the audio on, but I can see the fans yelling.
Mhm.
Ooh, that was awfully close. I don't know. I've never figured out how the ump at first and the ump at third are the ones that are supposed to determine this. I guess I can kind of see, but
I mean, I can tell you just over the years talking with coaches, head coaches, pitching coach, hitting coach, you name it. That's the most frustrating call to
Yeah.
watch
Right.
coaches in baseball. Just
that
because, like,
that ought to be a replay call.
yeah, I mean, there's so many things an umpire has to pay attention to and focus on, like how locked in are they going to be on a spot like that.
Do we think Tennessee comes out with Binky for the 7th? I would think so.
I would think so too. I mean, he pitched. Let me look at his pitches. It was 8 pitches so far.
Why not?
Or my page isn't updated. Hold on, I stand corrected. Here we go.
He threw 6. Do you guys have
Yeah, I
stat
got-
forecast on?
Yeah, I have he threw 8 because Phillips threw 17 and he was on right before him. So
Yeah.
I would think they bring him back out. If you're Tennessee, I think you save as much pitching as you possibly can because you're gonna have to reuse guys maybe next game. So that's the thing. I guess it's kind of a blessing they didn't use Nate Snead tonight too because they could use him for tomorrow after assumingly Drew Beam is on the mound. And you got to get if we want to look toward tomorrow a little bit. I think you got to get a good start out of Drew Beam. Kind of like what he had against North Carolina, because Tennessee found themselves in trouble early tonight, and if you get that with Drew Beam, you're going to have another hole like this to dig out of, and there's nothing telling me based off tonight that they can do that. So that's going to be huge to get that, and obviously the pitching Tennessee's used, it's up to 5 pitchers now that Binky's out there. So that's the big thing too, is you're going to have to get another 6-inning powerful start like Beam did against North Carolina.
Part of me goes, Binky's been so good lately. How much do you want to throw him with the 5-run deficit? I thought Kirby Cannell was a really good guy to use in the spot that they used him. It didn't work out, but I'm thinking Cannell's a guy that can give you a few innings, and it might not work out, but you're already behind, or he could go out and pitch you 4 or 5 innings and be great and get you back in it, but he doesn't throw that hard. He's not going to play pro ball. You could just bring him back tomorrow. I was a little, I guess he just wasn't effective, and that's the reason he got pulled, but it didn't work out. But I kind of like the spot that Tony Vitello used him in.
I do too. That's kind of been their formula, it seemed like too. Normally we would have, actually, no. I mean, we normally have seen on this Friday thing Tennessee does, Stamos, Causey, then it's been Cannell and Snead. Really, for the most part, maybe Combs instead of Snead. Just throw whatever closer you want out there, but that's been their formula. So I agree with you, Chris. Like I said, when Causey was starting to fade and the runs were piling in, I was like, they're probably going to warm up Cannell, and lo and behold, there he goes in the bullpen. So it's just something that's kind of grown on them as a team, at least this postseason. And I mean, that's what they went with, and he had the nice pickoff in it. Otherwise, he got himself into trouble. But hats off to, I think that's just been their formula and they stuck with it. And then they went out of it bringing Marcus Phillips in, which I was a little surprised by, but at the same time, we had talked about it for a while, us three, with, they used them in Hoover. I think they're not afraid to go to them. And lo and behold, they did that as well. And he went in and faced 3 batters, walked 1, struck out another, and then, just went 2/3. So, I mean, they got him out there at least, and 17 pitches is something. You can throw him back out there, especially if you want a guy with the velocity he does. So they finally did it. Maybe I think I'm borderline kind of inclined to say maybe I thought they would do it earlier in Omaha or earlier in the tournament, but here it goes in game 1 of the final.
What did you think about the decision to go Binky? I just don't. I'd have to look back at it, but it feels like 4 out of the last 5 times or something like that, he just hasn't been effective. And I get that Causey likes coming out of the pen and look, Tony Vitello knows his team. He's got to manage it, but the stats show you it just hadn't gone well for a while. And this is a high pressure stage. You're playing a team that can really, really hit. You got another ace on the mound. I question whether maybe it would be something they'd want to do tonight. He went with it. I guess coach can say, well, we've done this all year. We don't want to shift from playing. And I get it. But it was going to be one of those moves that left him open to question. Now, I guess in a weird sort of way, since Causey didn't pitch well, maybe you could say, well, if they'd started him, maybe it wouldn't have gone better. But in any case, you would have wanted more from Chris Stamos than you got, I think, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, we saw this. I'm trying to think. Oh, Florida State. First Florida State game, we saw this similar thing with it. I mean, I think he literally went also a third of an inning that game. Someone double checked me, but I'm willing to bet money on it. And the same result kind of happened. They pulled him early. Granted, Causey kind of in his own way. Causey definitely pitched better that game than tonight, but the same thing happened. And yeah, it's such a weird scenario. And I'm sure, it's kind of been, circulating on social outlets among people, what that is and what the deal is. And if he just likes to come out of the pen, that's fine. But I mean, you saw Grahovic hit the leadoff homer against Stamos, and not saying at all that wouldn't have happened with Causey. It certainly could have, but at the same time, it gave Grahovic a different look. Maybe it ended up differently. So it's weird. And again, I don't know. You've done it all year. That's kind of what I lean on with it, and it's worked to this point. I mean, you're in the College World Series final, so it's obviously worked to a certain extent, but it's something weird. I really think Causey not having the day he did kind of threw their pitching strategy in a loop, and so they were kind of pressed. I mean, I think they were going to go Cannell, but then Cannell started getting into trouble, so they were like, all right, what are we going to do? It makes me wonder too whether or not they should have done maybe Binky, and then if he got into trouble, Marcus Phillips kind of to end the game, because you hadn't seen him since Hoover. So it's just like, all right, well, we have this deficit, and Marcus Phillips can kind of shut it down from here to end the game. Maybe we do that. That's kind of the question I have, maybe, but I don't think it would have made a huge difference either way. I think A&M was just able to hit the ball as well as they could have ever have done. I mean, they're at 12 hits right now, and kind of on cruise control at this point, and just have to kind of get through it and let their pitching do the work. So weird situations with Tennessee's pitching tonight. Maybe they could have done it differently and would have ended with a different result.
Graham, got a question for you. Can you tell me who Caden Kent's father is?
I told you guys. He's a Jeff Kent. Interesting style of eating sunflower.
Did they ever show him?
He's been pounding these sunflower seeds every time they put him on camera.
Who's been shown more in the College World Series, him or Kim Mulkey, the year that Mulkey's kid was playing shortstop?
I would say Jeff. I would say Jeff.
It might be.
He's like, he played baseball, obviously, and like people are gonna have a better idea of who Jeff Kent is. What a run this has been for his kid, man.
Yeah.
So like,
Jeff Kent's just sitting there like,
no big deal.
He's not even. Yeah. That's an interesting clap. He's got one hand and a fist.
One thing I was curious about, A&M, again, they lead the country in walks. And I mean, when you have a team like that, things like this happen. You get a leadoff walk, and then the next batter jumps on a pitch and 2-run bomb. So, I mean, if A&M was going to have success in this best of 3, I mean, these are things that I thought that the Aggies were going to have to do, and boy, they did it right there.
God, that lineup next year, Kent can come back, Grahovic can come back, Lavalette can come back. I think Appel and Burton are maybe done, or probably, I don't know. But I mean, that's a really good core of a lineup.
Yeah, that's a good start. And they obviously, A&M has, I know this can take us through a tangent, but they have the portal and NIL money to get guys if they wanted to.
Yes.
I'm sure they're not focused on that.
As much as anybody in the portal, maybe the side of LSU. And maybe more.
Right. No, and obviously they're not focused right now about it, but that's something right when this is over, no matter the result, they're going to look into. And I think they're going to have one of the top lineups in the conference next year, even with the other 2 joining.
Jeff Kent's got Hall of Fame numbers as a second baseman. I think that was just the the era that he played in, everybody's suspected.
Well,
Plus, I
that,
don't think he's very well liked by the media. But I mean,
yeah.
there's a lot worse guys in the Hall of Fame than Jeff Kent.
How you treat people, especially in the sport of baseball, since the media has so much power with that goes a long way.
And that's stupid. I mean, I don't care if you're the biggest jerk on the planet. If your track record backs it up, you should go in the Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
Yes. Doesn't matter what happens off the field, on the field.
Yeah.
He was a Hall of Fame player. He was MVP of the National League.
And hit a lot. How many home runs? I think he ended up with over 300 home runs, which, for second baseman's got to be a top 10 all time. I think it was maybe 330-ish.
Let's look it up. Thank goodness for Baseball Reference.
Oh, Baseball Reference is the
I
king.
love that site.
He almost had 400, 377.
Okay, I mean, that's yeah. Wins above replacement, what did he end up with? 40? He had to be in the 50s.
Yeah, he was about 40 for sure. I like how they're showing Montgomery. Montgomery's just wearing a hat that says good.
He was perched earlier with a camera. I think he was just literally filming at bats, and they gave
Yeah.
him a good 15 seconds of camera time with that in the middle of an AB. And I was like, oh well, to each his own, ESPN.
And again, Caden Kent may not be playing as much if it's not for the Montgomery injury.
Right.
No, right.
He's just been on fire, especially in Omaha. I mean, he's got 5 hits now in Omaha. I was curious.
Go
I was
ahead.
curious about the crowd. Just I was going to be fascinated what the crowd would look like. It's the weekend. Both of these fan bases have had plenty of time to make plans and figure it out. So it looks like a pretty good balance. The orange definitely pops on the TV more than the maroon does for Texas A&M. But I mean, it definitely looks like both of these fan bases made the trip to Omaha.
Okay, they're going to lead Binky into, I guess, to where this one's not accurate. It's not like he's been awful, but which I think at this point you might as well.
Right.
And look, it's 7 runs with 9 outs is not completely out of reach for Tennessee.
No. Yeah, they can do it. They need.
I mean, I would strongly bet against it, but I'm just
Right.
saying. So
Yeah, the crucial part too is Josh Stewart, where he's at 43 pitches through 2 innings, so he's pitched a lot. I think they're going to have, whether or not they've shown it, they're going to have someone up in their bullpen, Texas A&M. So maybe that changes things a little. I think either way, if you're Tennessee, you want to kind of get as close as you can. You want to crack into the lead a little on offense, just to kind of spark you heading into the next game. At the very least,
back up, but I don't know how hard he was going at it.
Okay. And they could probably do, I mean, Josh Stewart's been on it on the mound, so they could probably stick with him for at least another inning. But yeah, I mean, if you're Tennessee, you kind of want to crack into it a little bit and give yourself the momentum for next game. And I was just looking too, hitting stats. Kind of a cool side note for A&M. The only guy without a hit in the lineup tonight is Lavalette. Kind of weird that happened, but if he gets a hit, everyone in the lineup will be in the column, which will be quite the feat against Tennessee to at least start this series.
I think he's got a pitch going for him here. I don't know if it's a changeup or a breaking ball, but had Gavin Grohovac talking to himself walking to the dugout after a strikeout here a minute ago. I'll be interested to watch Lavalette here just to see how that hammy looks if he has to run something out.
Yeah, actually, just as I said that, I didn't realize he was up. I've been flipping back and forth like I'm mad.
What else is there to watch at this point?
This is it. I mean,
oh, okay.
I don't yeah. No, I meant my screens. Sorry, I have you guys. I had to go because I had the game on Safari. And
got you.
StreamYard's right. StreamYard's Chrome. So I've just been like flipping between browsers and stuff. No, I'm locked in. Don't you worry, Chris.
I've got a little TV right in front of me. Boy, he just hit that a mile. But foul.
All right, 9 outs for the Vols.
Let's see. Okay, I see what happened in the stat broadcast. Let's see how hard he gets down to first here. He's moving. He could be going slower than he went, I guess. Man, that was a good pitch that Caden Kent hit too. They just showed the replay going out to commercial. I mean, he just went down and got it. You know what's funny? They've got a kid on that that roster, and I presume he's on the 28 unless he's hurt. Do you remember how good Ryan Targach was 2 years ago, Graham?
Yeah, he was very good.
I don't know what's happened to him, if it's confidence or injury, but like he was a second baseman that was like I saw him hit one over the batter's eye in Nashville.
Did you? Wow.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
No.
You know, that happens once every 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, and he did it.
Yeah, and he's not even playing.
A lot of it is just confidence. Like, to me, this is the hardest sport to play, and confidence is a big reason why. If you lose just a little bit of it, it can just linger and certainly carry on. Not saying that is happening with him, but man, you just never know from 1 year to the next for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Who we got up here for Tennessee? Let's see.
Looks like Blake Burke.
Okay.
Burke, Amick, Dreiling.
Yeah, Burke's been good tonight too. Got a double.
Mm-hmm. There's certain guys in Tennessee that have been pretty good. I mean, Burke 2 for they have 4 who are 2 for 3. Burke, Ensley, Dreiling, and then Dean Curley have all been good. Dean Curley, that's a guy too. If we're talking about how these teams will look for next year, he's going to be a figurehead, at least for this team next year, and really beyond that. I mean, because he came into the season, no one really expected him. A lot of that was Zane Denton and that weird situation from last year carrying into this year, how the infield would look as Amick got the transfer in. And no one really, I couldn't tell you who Dean Curley was until the season started. I'll be honest about it. And he came in and has done phenomenal. And I mean, it was a weird sort of entrance into this team this year, but he's come in and he's contributed just as much as anyone, at least in that bottom of the order, which he sits in this entire season.
Well, they went to Ariel Antigua, I believe, as their starting shortstop to start the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, and he's going to be a kid that's probably going to be I don't know if he'll be a first team preseason All-American. I don't know what everyone else has got, but he'll be on a lot of those lists, which is very, very good for them this year. Yeah, this will be interesting because I feel like this is Tennessee's. You got to make something happen here. Burke's probably had your best swings tonight. You got a lefty on righty. You got Amick next, who's a righty, but I believe we discovered he's got reverse splits.
Right.
It's righties better than lefties. And then Dreiling up, who just feels like he's a tough out against anybody. That kid has such a good approach.
He does. He pieced up a few. You said it, Chris. He pieced up a few pitches last time he met Stewart earlier.
That sequence was fast.
So they've shut Aschenbeck down. So that tells you something. He's got his warm ups back on and isn't throwing. Go ahead, Graham.
That Dreiling sequence last time he was up, Kyle Peterson was all over it. I mean, he said the book on Stewart is he likes to utilize a slider a lot. So Tennessee knew that, and so their game plan was to take it. So live adjustments, quick like that. A&M said, "Okay, you're taking the sliders, you're not swinging." So that's when he struck him out with a fastball right down the heart of the plate. And the next batter too, after Dreiling. So I thought that sequence, Kyle Peterson right on top of it.
Well, here's how good his slider is tonight. Blake Burke just took a pitch that bounced a couple inches in front of Jackson Appel's glove. I don't know if I've seen Burke do that all year. That's how good a pitch that slider is. But I mean, those two that he got the strikeouts with, he just painted the edge of the zone. The one to Dreiling and the one to Ensley was, I mean, it painted the bottom of the zone perfectly. We're having a mound meeting here.
Yeah, something's going on with Stewart. after that last pitch.
Trainer.
Trainer
like the
and
trainer out
Schwarzenegger
there.
came out.
He's telling him to go sit down.
Billy Amick's a
See
guy
what
who
he
really needs a confident at bat here. Really, really needs one. 0 for 2 with a
They
walk.
do.
I mean, you got to have the rest of the way for Tennessee. You got to have your top of the order doing good, and you saw that at Burt tonight, despite that not good swing you just had. But Amick and really Christian Moore is not at bat right now. You haven't seen it tonight. That's something they can't do tomorrow at all. So
Well,
that's what I'm looking at there.
To me, the difference in the game is just A&M has made the most of their opportunities. They got 5 hits with runners in scoring position. Tennessee only has 2. So
Right. No,
yeah,
and they've
except for that fifth that you'd like to have over for your A&M, where you got a guy picked off, and then Tears making a circus catch in center.
right.
You're right. I mean, in Tennessee's left again. I think that when Stewart came in with a couple guys on, nobody out in the fifth, that ended up being the key sequence of the game. If this holds.
So, and Stewart, his longest outing this season was back in April against Bama, 3 1/3. So, I mean, he's been really, really good tonight for the Aggies.
Okay, so A&M's got Rudis and I guess it's Badmaev, the Tarleton State transfer up. So they're good arms, but they're not Aschenbeck and Cortez.
And they really,
they're really good arms.
Right.
So.
No, and they need a guy who can go out there for 2 innings and shut down a 7-run lead. Those two, very capable of doing that. So Amick just got walked, so at least he's being patient and reading pitches. Earlier, it seemed like he was almost swinging at everything that was up and not toward the ground. So that's a little nice to see from him.
Yeah, laid off that slider, and that's tough because it starts out catching the plate.
Right.
But that's not close to where it ended up. And that's a great pitch. I've seen Stewart pitch a couple of times, and he kind of caught my eye as a guy who'd pitched well for them late in the year. And with as much talent as they've got, if Jim Schlossnagle's trusting that kid in big spots, he thinks he's got something. I just think to throw like this in Omaha, he's been tremendous.
Yeah. Oh, he has.
I think they're going to make a change now.
They said it on the broadcast too, kind of what we said. He came alive late for them. Like way late this season. And it's been nice because I think he hasn't really been, it's just kind of pedestrian up until this point. And this is really where, he's become a figurehead out of that bullpen, one of the first guys you choose. And you got to give credit to A&M for kind of figuring that out. I mean, this has been a nice relief outing he's had.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably their 11th or 12th guy on the staff until very recently.
Right.
I mean, that can be a blessing too. I mean, his arm will be a little bit fresher. I mean, he hasn't been used as much, and here he is, national championship. He's got a fresh arm and making the most of his opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh wait, so he's not coming out. That's the second mound visit in him. I guess one of them was a health
the injury
visit, maybe.
Yeah, the health visit.
I guess you get a pass for that. It seems like that would be something that could be. Used pretty easily.
Another interesting thing, they said it on the broadcast, all of A&M's mound visits, they don't talk about strategy or mechanics at all. That was fascinating. Coach goes to the mound and just makes everybody smile and laugh, and then, all right, boys, let's go get it.
All right, I think maybe they left him in one batter too long.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, wait till you see what happens, Chris.
Yeah, well, Stat Broadcast has it before my TV does. Okay. So, just a matter of what it looks like.
Oops.
Yeah.
Well, there goes
that wasn't an awful pitch either, by the way.
Eerily familiar to when that catch was made a few games ago too. That robbed the home run there late.
The wall was there.
Right. That was like, I'm sure you guys know what I was talking about. That was against Kentucky or Florida, one of the two. It might have been the first time they played Florida. It was that same exact corner, and he made the catch there. I guess that ball was too high for anything, right?
That was down and in, and he just got the bat head through the zone. Man, he is I know he's not the guy that gets the most pub,
but he's
which I mean,
so
that's hard to do. I just think his at bats are about as good as anybody's on that
I mean,
team.
look at the adjustments that he just made. I mean, last time he struck out against Stewart. Next time up, gets a huge 2-run shot.
right.
Okay, if Laviolette plays the other side of that corner, does he have a shot at that one?
The side, the flat side
Yeah,
on the
because
wall
he
before you.
ran into if he plays the flat side there, does he get that one? It looked like it was maybe going to be able to reach anyway. Of course, he's got a hammy issue,
Right.
so I don't know if you want him, how much effort you want him expending there with what's now a 5-run lead. But
Right. No, it would have been I think a lot more possible than what he did. But again, that's a hard that would have been a phenomenal that would have been like catch of the year type stuff if he was able to bring that in.
yeah, it was
But
clear he didn't realize where he was on the field on that one.
right, yeah. I think they're gonna bring in Rudis, it looks like. But there goes the no home run game A&M was holding, which was, I mean, again, that's still going to be one of the focal points, I think, in this win up until this point. They didn't let Tennessee get the runs the way they normally get them. So props to them. And I mean, Dryling cracks into it a little bit. They have one out with, it just slipped my mind. Who was up?
Inslee's up.
Ensley. Thank you. Yes. Ensley's up. Another guy who's 2 for 3 tonight. So who knows? They can keep it going. And Chris, going back to Dryling too, he's sat in that cleanup spot the entire season too, which I think is perfect. I mean, for like a guy you were describing, because obviously you have your 2 heavy hitters and the all ACC transfer who's been normally this year incredible in Amick, and then you just have him kind of sitting right behind them in case those 3 get on base as often as they do. So it's just kind of, I think they set their lineup up perfectly for him.
Yeah. So you said A&M's going with Rudis.
Yes.
Yeah, that's who they're going with. That's what they've got. Now, here's what's interesting. A&M is going to set up the part of the order. Well, I mean, everybody's hitting, so they're going to go Appel, Shot, Burton, who are a combined 5 for 11 tonight to start the top of the next inning. Yeah, that would have been tough, but if he had been in a better part.
Yeah, did you just see the
if he
replay? Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw it.
Yeah.
So I wonder what Tennessee does. I mean,
Oh.
Winky's now at 35 pitches.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that'll be interesting too. I don't know if you have to be really careful about going back to him, I think.
You could go to Garcia.
You could, yeah. Could do that, or I guess we saw Marcus Phillips. I wouldn't rule Dylan Loy.
Phillips already been burned. Yeah, Dylan. Well, I would think
Right.
you'd want to use Loy in a
Dang.
spot where you've got the lead, maybe.
Oh, Chris, you're about to get another big moment in a sec.
Yeah, I think I see what happened. Everything's going out to right center tonight. That one did not. That one went out to left.
Well, you got to like
this
this.
Postseason.
He has, and you got to love this if you're Tennessee. I mean, just, even if the score stays as is, and this is our final score, I mean, just getting this kind of home run power again after you didn't see a lick of it all game.
Yeah,
is huge.
Well, you're getting into another one of these, and you're getting into Evan Aschenbeck territory.
Oh, that is true as well.
Yeah.
Which again is another thing that if you're Jim Schlossnagle, you're hoping to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to a lefty. I presume that's Bodmaev, I guess. I think he's a lefty. Let me look that up. Because, like I said, they had set Aschenbeck down a minute ago. No, he's a righty. I thought he signaled
Aschenbeck.
lefty. So it's got to be Aschenbeck.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's what you were hoping to avoid.
He has to record, 8 outs if he just wants to close this completely.
That wasn't a bad pitch. That was a slider down and probably caught too much of the plate, but you had to make a good swing on it, and he did.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, how big was that 2-run home run for A&M?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this would have been a 2-run game, and that's easy striking distance with 8 outs for Tennessee.
13 hits for A&M, 10 for Tennessee.
And they've
We
left the
got
same
2
amount on
home runs
base
for
too.
A&M and two for both teams.
Right. And I think, Graham, you said they've taken advantage of opportunities better. They've also, the left on base total is 8, the same between the two of them. So it's just like, it's been A&M that's kind of just, had the edge in the opportunity department. I think Aschenbeck has to see, this is going to be Tiers. He's going to get the bottom part of this order. And I wonder if they're going to pinch hit someone for Bargo or if they'll let him go again. Or if they even made it. Let me
let's see. I'm trying to think who they've got left. They've gone through Chapman. Let's see. They've got Colby Bacchus, who I think he's a righty. You got a lefty. That I would think that would be your option at this point.
Right. That's a guy who we thought.
Well,
you
also got Cannon Peebles as a switch hitter, so you got that too.
Here we go. Best reliever in the country.
Yeah, interested to see how this looks because, like I said, last time the line wasn't bad, but it didn't look quite as good if you watched it. There were some balls hit hard off him that just went foul. And we're getting to the point where he's thrown a lot of innings this year too.
Yeah, he really has.
His starts are it's a lot. Like you guys said, it's a lot of pitches. I mean, it's every time I look, it's like 40s, 50s, and that's the minimum. It seems like 40s. Tiers could use a good at bat.
Which catch did y'all think was better for Tiers? The one the other day or the one tonight?
Which one the other day?
Into the wall.
He literally crashed into when he played center field for the first time. In Omaha.
I can't remember if I saw that one or not. That was the day I was unexpectedly running all over town.
They're both great, but I picked the one today. Like that catch he made tonight was insane. He made it look so easy. National championship game.
Yeah.
Saved a run.
Yeah, the one tonight's about as good as it gets.
Yeah.
I'd say, I was going to say scenario-wise, definitely this one. You can't go wrong, though, with a guy running into the wall, right into the Creighton Blue Jay. But if I had to choose, I'd take the scenario over style. So I'm going to go tonight.
Speaking of Creighton, how about their baseball hire? I thought that was a big hire for them.
That was a familiar name.
Grabbed
Kingston.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was I thought about that too. He's finished over 500 in the SEC record winning percentage wise. So he was going to find a job quickly somewhere. I mean,
that
that's
was
like
vintage Evan Aschenbeck right there to
that was
to Tiers.
3 pitches.
Goodness gracious. I think it might have been 4, but that's the other thing. You just want to, like, if you can get him through the rest of this game on 30 pitchers or something, then you can go back to him tomorrow, which that's a lot easier said than done against this lineup, but just saying. I need to quit watching stat broadcasts. It's spoiling too much stuff for me.
Now you know how I felt the first year back from COVID broadcasting games when I couldn't travel. It was brutal.
Were they making you call games from TV with the
like for Ole Miss? They put us in the pavilion and they would just roll out a huge TV, and this TV would be about 4 feet in front of us. But it would, the first couple of weeks there was a delay, and then David Kellum, the voice of Ole Miss, was like, "We're not doing this." So he made a couple phone calls and got it fixed. So thank you, DK.
Yeah, well, it's bothering Oreo too. I would like to have that whole 2-year period back, please. And we're not going to get into that tonight, but we missed so much good baseball stuff.
Big pitch here. Man.
He's nails, man. He's so good.
He is. I mean, that was exactly what you wanted.
What's he topped out at tonight? I mean, he's a mid. I know velo's not his thing. Oh my goodness, that was 93. Okay, well you can tell I've caught up to you now.
Oh, the other thing we haven't touched on. Congrats to Charlie Condon. It's officially
Yeah.
Golden Spikes Award winner. So
Much deserved.
His video game
But-
numbers, Golden Spikes. It is well deserved for sure.
Oh yeah.
Before I go back, the answer to who's going to pitch the 8th is Dylan Loy.
Okay.
So I'm a little surprised about that. Although, I mean, I guess I shouldn't be. You got Beam tomorrow. You would think he could go a few innings for sure, given his history. And then you hadn't touched Snead or Combs yet. So, I mean, that's not. Well,
No,
plus you're a little bit more back in this game now. So
right. And it's reliable arms you haven't used since Hoover. So it really hasn't been in their rotational plan that they haven't changed in, who knows how long. So, I mean, until tonight. I mean, they really haven't changed it this entire tournament until tonight, at least out of the bullpen. And that seems like the route they're going about it. And that's perfect because you still have, the major names that you can go to tomorrow. They can go. I'm interested to see just to make sure. Cannell pitched 13
Doesn't
pitches,
matter.
so he
Cannell
could
can
definitely
go
go.
again.
Yeah, so he could definitely go. And then it gives you a lot more options for tomorrow. And again, that was quite a sequence from Ashenbeck. But if you're Tennessee, you wanted those 2 home runs you just saw just to get that mentality back with your power hitting.
Back to Golden Spikes. Let's see. It was the finalists were Condon, Hagen Smith, and
Bazzana.
Travis Bazzana. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well,
It
I don't
looked
understand why Caglione wasn't in there. I mean, it's
I
almost
don't
like
either.
people forget he pitched too.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly. It looked like they were all in Omaha too. If I saw that shot, like they were all
Yeah.
underneath the tent signing autographs and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah. They could have done, this might be a silly question. They could have done 4 guys as finalists, right? Like they do that for the Heisman.
I think it's been 3 for a while, hasn't it, Graham?
Okay.
Yeah. Heisman, you can have the 5,
That's-
you can have the 3. It's
Right.
kind of all over the map.
Right. And that's
Baseball-
obviously different.
Yeah, baseball's been consistent for a while.
But out of those 3, I mean, well deserved. I just pulled stuff up to see what he did just to make sure my eyes weren't deceiving me. But I mean, the slugging percentage and OPS over 1 and 1.5, batting average 433, on base well over 550, home runs 37, 78 RBIs, and then it's just the hitting numbers are off the charts, and he's just going to be a top pick, one of the top picks this draft. So you couldn't have gone wrong. And Georgia's first ever winner. So congrats to Georgia for getting your name attached to that award finally in some way.
Yeah, and Chris, did you know they touched on it on the broadcast? I did not realize until that they always talk about it, but the first SEC champion ever was Georgia in the late 90s in the SEC. Georgia was the first, and then the SEC's just been on this run ever since.
Oh, you mean the first College World Series champion?
Yeah.
I think that would have been 90.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, that would have been, I think, the Chris Carpenter teams, maybe.
Yeah.
That was before I really paid a lot of attention to it. But yeah, they got one 90, 91. I mean, LSU won some in the 80s.
Yeah, Skip dominated, but like the
was
way the
that?
broadcast was talking about it, since Georgia was the first in the 90s, and then it just took off.
Oh, you mean starting like a run, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Bertman won a few. Well, maybe
Well,
it was in the 90s, I guess.
It was when Bergman was doing it, it was so different. There was no, best of 3, like none of that. and LSU and Bertman just absolutely dominated because Mike Bianco, I think he was a part of like 5 as a player and assistant coach at LSU.
Dalton Barger took a very interesting route.
Yes, he
About
did.
out.
That was, I don't know how he held on to that, and they're going to review it.
It goes in the books as an out.
That is
He
unbelievable.
went
He like
back and then circled and then caught it about 6 inches off the ground. They're not reviewing this, are they? By the way, both teams made bad use of replay earlier in the night.
The Christian Moore play at first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know why A&M challenged that. I didn't think for a second that wasn't a catch.
No,
That's
that's
bad
very
replays
weird.
A&M's done. Well, I guess it was closer than I thought. I mean, it was clearly a catch, but I guess it was just a couple inches off. I guess if you don't have use of a video in the dugout to see it, then I could see how they would, because then you got a leadoff guy on.
Right.
So you're saying Georgia was the first SEC champion? I mean,
that's on the broadcast, like they had a graphic and everything, and I was so confused because I was thinking about, okay, what about LSU and Skip, like in the 80s and the 90s when they had their dominant era.
Well, I know that USC and Miami and Arizona State just cleaned up for a while.
Yeah.
I'm looking. I think that's right. My goodness. I would not have thought that. Yeah, Georgia got it to 1990. Wichita State won one before that. Back when the Shockers were a power, which is kind of hard to imagine. I mean, being a baseball power in the middle of Wichita, Kansas just seems weird. And then Stanford got 2 before that. And then it's a host of Fullerton, Miami, Texas, Arizona, Southern Cal. Southern Cal, I think, has still won more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But most of those are a good bit in the rearview mirror.
Rice in 2003 is a weird one. I've picked up every time I look at this list.
Well, that team was.
They were good then, though.
Yeah.
They had 3 first-round arms, didn't they?
Yeah. And Burke.
Oh.
Yeah. Wayne Graham, legend in the game.
Here's a win of Barb. Missouri got one in 1954.
Wonder what the World Series was like in 1954.
Well, it used to be a screwed up format. Like they had all these regions and like you could win your region and get there. But like it was all geographic. And so it was just kind of messed up. It wasn't like now where you could get a bunch of teams from the South end, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking too.
Yeah.
See it.
We love late night baseball. Missouri beat that 1954 year Rollins College, and the only reason that rings a bell to me is Orlando, this area. I didn't even know that was possible. They could do that, but hey, 1954, anything could happen.
Okay, I think he's done now.
So Tennessee's got, assuming he stays out there, Dalton Bargo, Cal Stark, Christian Moore. Not a bad half you want to be in. Bargo has pop. Cal Stark's been today, and Christian Moore, you kind of would like to see something. I think that'll be key if we can get that, or if you can get that out of him.
Yeah, LSU won 5 of them from 91 to 2000, all under Skip Bertman.
Okay.
Then got 6 under Paul Maneri in, what was it, 09? Yeah, 09. And then, of course, number 7 last year.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's the only school to get 3 under 3 coaches. All right, I'm going to let this guy out.
That was me earlier.
Howland.
Oh yeah, how anything and everything.
That's how I was before the game. I was that excited for baseball.
National
I was
championship.
like, yeah, I was like, national championship. Let's roll.
So this is going to be one way or the other. Let's see. You've got Georgia's 1-1, LSU's 1-1. That's 2 SEC teams. If you want to count Texas in the SEC, that's 3. Although they weren't at the time. LSU would be 4. No, I'm sorry. LSU's 3. South Carolina would be 4. Vandy 5. Florida 6. Mississippi State 7. Ole Miss 8. So this will be 9, although really just 8 because Texas wasn't in the SEC at the time.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma did get one in 1951, if you want to go there.
Against Tennessee.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's been discussed.
Mm-hmm. We have a question down here. I don't understand this. Tennessee is ranked number 1 team talent rankings. Texas A&M is 9th. Is it coaching or what is it? I just don't understand.
Somebody does team talent rankings for baseball?
That's it. That's interesting. If they do exist and you're wondering why Tennessee is 1, I'll just tell you this. It's because they hit or they have the second most home runs ever. I mean, that point blank period. And then
it's
why is A&M
it's not like football where you can just
right.
Yeah. Or even hoops for that matter.
I didn't even know those were real. SEC
Is that
football.
is that in the SEC or in the country? Wonder how they're doing that.
I didn't have a lot of context. I just had Tennessee is ranked 1 team talent. A&M is 9th.
Yeah.
So it's some sort of thing.
Sure.
Not that
it could be sarcasm. I don't know.
Right. Well, I hope it's not SEC because I can tell you this: Texas A&M is not 9th in this conference. Yeah, but
and it was preseason top 10. I don't remember exactly where. Okay, the point where if I'm a coach, I start feeling good is when you've got fewer outs to get than the other team has runs to score. Aggies aren't there yet, but now, okay, great strikeout to they get Bargo there.
They did,
that
yes.
was beautiful. He committed to that and had no chance. So now you got 5 outs to go with the 4-run cushion.
There's a 1 pitch out. Sorry, Chris, but there's
okay. Well, I was going to start seeing how many pitches Aschenbeck had thrown to, because that's another thing. I mean, I think they can bring it back tomorrow either way, but it's you can certainly do it if you're 30 pitches as opposed to 60.
Right. And Christian Moore's got to be.
You might do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Christian Moore's got to be wise here with this at bat because you want to get his pitches up, Aschenbeck's, and you kind of want to at least get a walk or on base in some sort of facet. And we just got down here. A&M was preseason 4.
Okay. I knew they were in the top 10, but I couldn't remember how high. I'm looking. Aschenbeck is not a draft prospect. Well, he's not in the top 200 at MLB Pipeline, which is the one that I kind of refer to since I think it's run by the Scouting Bureau and they update it pretty frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Which doesn't mean he's not going to get drafted, but most relievers that are draft prospects, they're 97, 98, 99, and he's not that guy.
Right. If he was a first round pick, they would be more, a little bit more cautious and aware.
Right.
Another big strikeout. Like when it's so different when I broadcast the Ohio Valley Conference baseball tournament this year, and it's so wild and different. Like Morehead State their first game, their starting pitcher, all conference guy, threw 148, 49 pitches in his start. 2 days later, gets the start and threw over 80 pitches. And it's just
Yeah.
like,
Goodness.
yeah, it's just a different animal than what you see at the Power 5, Power 4 level.
Christian Moore's timing has just been off all night.
Yeah, he's had.
I mean, he's just it's not. It's just being a little bit ahead or a little bit behind.
Right.
I was looking it
So
up.
anyway,
He's going 0
Yeah.
for 5. This is the second time this season he's going 0 for 5.
The last time was the regional. What game was that? Oh, it's killing me.
He went
Southern
0
Miss?
for 4 against Evansville,
That's what it was. I stand corrected.
and then he went 0 for against Southern Miss as well.
Yeah. Okay.
okay.
So
So looking ahead to the bottom of the ninth, Tennessee will have Burke. So lefty on lefty, you would presume the platoon advantage goes A&M's way. You got Amick, who's a righty, but he's got reverse splits, and then you got Dreiling, a lefty, who has just been on it all night. A&M's got Sorrell, Camarillo, and Kent, which has actually been the best three in their lineup, even if they are 6, 7, and 8 tonight. So
they said on the
I'll tell you,
broadcast.
another guy I like on that lineup is Chestnut, who they got in the 9-hole. That's another kid who's going to be a big part of what they'll do next year. Sorry, Alfred.
Oh yeah. No, you're good. No, they said on the broadcast that bottom of the lineup has been the money lot part for them. I mean, if we start at Sorrell and go down to Chestnut, that's I was looking at RBIs. 3, 6, 7 hits between the 4 of them. So that's been where they've gotten all their offense. And yeah, I mean that's been the biggest part. So that's that's kind of brutal for Tennessee. And I'm assuming are they bringing someone else in besides Loy, or they keep Loy in?
Stat broadcast has got him. Yeah, that Loy is going to throw the 9th, and he's
Okay.
going Sorrell lefty, Camarillo righty, Kent lefty. So
Okay.
that's probably why.
SEC football. Who is starting pitcher for Tennessee tomorrow? Drew Beam.
Drew Beam.
It'll be Drew Beam. And like I said before,
I want to get into A&M's who they'll throw tomorrow. I think I know, but I want to get through this game first.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Alfred.
No, I was going to say SEC football. I don't know if you're watching. You need to get a good start out of him, just because you can't fall behind like tonight. Because I think A&M proved they can somewhat handle it on any given day. And I mean, they're going to put. I mean, Ashenbeck. What was he at? 20-ish pitches, something like that.
18.
So, yeah. I mean, you're going to have to get a good start and get ahead. Not like tonight.
How do we feel about the Umcast camera? Comes down.
Are you watching that on like ESPN too?
It's an option, but sometimes they'll show it on the main broadcast too.
Right.
I was gonna say I haven't seen it on the main one yet.
It's like, to me, it's so hard to tell what is happening.
I like it. I like watching it just as a change of pace, but they don't have it on tonight. ESPN2 is showing soccer, I guess. Either it's showing soccer or
if you do Umcast is on ESPNU.
Okay.
I don't mind it. I guess I'll chime in too. I think it's good in
I
certain
like it.
situations. Like it's good, if people want to talk about how the ball leaves the pitcher's hand, that sort of thing, you can kind of see it from there. Also, just the ball flight off the bat. Certain stuff it's good for. I don't know. You guys might be more tolerant about it than I am. I don't know if I could sit there. I could probably do an inning of just that. But then after that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to get a bigger plane of view, if you know what I mean.
I like it. The view I just got looked like it was. I guess something was wrong with the camera. It looked like I'm watching an Atari 2600. You guys won't even get that.
I've heard of Atari. Chris, I've heard of Atari. I know what that is.
Yeah, well,
I know my stuff a little bit.
Yeah, the graphics sucked. They were well, anyway.
That's that ping pong game, right? Pong,
Yeah,
or whatever.
Pong. Yeah, that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
stuff. It looks like yeah.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, I'm
we
done with that. I'm done
we
with
have
Uncast.
NCAA 25 now. We've gone from
Yeah, I
Pong
know.
to
My
that.
son has been saving his money for an Xbox.
Yeah,
his-
they're not cheap. Spoiler alert.
No.
Yeah, well,
No.
he's paying for it out of his own pocket, so Camarillo's swung a pretty good bat tonight.
Well, do I dare say this? 4-run deficit, bottom of the ninth for Tennessee. Sounds eerily familiar. I guess
It's
we'll
true. I
see.
was thinking that earlier.
Are you trying to speak it into existence?
It's just something to note because I know we get a lot of Tennessee people in the chat who are vocal. And so that's what I'll say to you guys. And you have at least some guys who have done well tonight coming up. Like we said, Burke, Amick, and then Dreiling. Burke and Dreiling have been good.
Yeah, I never put anything past Tennessee, but the difference between A&M's bullpen and Florida State's is pretty significant.
Right. The guy's name is Evan Aschenbeck, so it's
more
of an uphill climb than that game.
Ooh, Dylan Loy looked good that inning. I guess it's not over, but
I'm just seeing this now. Caden Kent, 14 RBIs, second most in the tournament field. He had 14 all season too, which is crazy.
man.
Guys, who's this guy in the white shirt with the gray, white, and maroon hat they keep showing? He's sitting down with his daughter.
Never seen him.
I'm so stumped.
I wonder if Tony Vitello wishes he'd gone earlier to Dylan Loy.
Yeah, I mean, because he went Phillips, so it's like kind of the same. It's the same sort of mindset behind it, I think, a little.
Phillips is a guy you can have for a couple of batters. I just don't think you want to go 4 or 5 with him. I feel like
right.
I don't know if it's the fastball is straight, but I feel like after a few hitters, that between that and the fact his control isn't the best, he's a short dose guy. Overpower you with 99 and then kind of get him out before your luck. That's harsh. I mean, he's a good pitcher. He's just unrefined.
Right. It was a lot of that. That's another story to take away because we talked about it earlier. It's a lot of not really, I don't think bad moves because they had their own reasoning behind it, but just like, why are they doing this? And it makes you think for a sec with Tennessee's pitching changes.
Man, he got him chasing way up in the zone.
Yeah, that was like a karate chop.
Yeah. This kid, Dylan Loy, has really thrown well for them late in the year. I would have to go back and look at his line, but I feel like he might be, I don't know, over the last 2-3 weeks, their most effective reliever.
Let me pull up his.
I'm going to pull it up
log.
too.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm dreaming it. Maybe I missed a bad.
I'll look earlier in the year even to see what he was doing because it looks like it's a bunch of midweek and non-conference games.
Yeah, they didn't use him much. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, okay, he threw and it wasn't a bad outing. April the 30th against Lipscomb, 2 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. Right before that, Western Carolina, 3 innings, 3 runs. Since then, he has thrown 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 outings. He's given up a run in just one of them. That was Vanderbilt, 1/3 of an inning in the SEC tournament. He went 4 2/3 scoreless against LSU. He did go a scoreless outing against Indiana, although he gave up 2 hits, didn't retire a batter, and then a third of an inning against Evansville. Feels like he's pitched more than that to me. So I guess I've just caught the games when he's pitched. So I
right.
Maybe that was a little out of place, but anyway.
Right. No, and even earlier in the year, the non-conference games, like back in February and March, he's gone. Did he go more than? He didn't go more than an inning until Bellarmine. I think that's how you say it. 2 1/3 against them, and then Western Carolina he went 3 innings. So it took him. I guess it just kind of. It took a while for them to kind of extend. I guess it's on him too, but it took a while for him to go beyond just one quick relief outing against some of these midweeks they had.
I'm gonna go get something to drink. I'll let you guys pick me up for a minute.
Oh yeah, Graham, come back or no? What are we feeling? I think it's gonna be. It might. Aschenbeck has cruised. I mean, it's just like. It seems a little extreme, but they do have the hitters, so this is something you want to tune in for.
If they do this, if Tennessee is able to do this again, it's just going to be that kind of a year for the Vols.
I know it. No, and I mean Aschenbeck. I think we said this. Is it 18 pitches? Yeah, 18 pitches for him. So, and he's got lefty, righty, lefty. So he has more same hand than offhand, which was nice for him.
Velocity still looks good too. Yeah, that 91.
Right. He does not want to give it to Burke over the middle. He's going.
Liking the old school Rays look tonight, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A little Fred McGriff for your
That's
stream
exactly
tonight.
what I was thinking.
Right. Him or
Did
Wade
he and Wade
Boggs.
Boggs play together?
I think they did.
Pacheco, all
Mhm.
those guys are on the same team.
The retirement home for those folks. I guess not Fred McGriff necessarily, but the other two. Definitely the little retirement home for their careers.
Mm-hmm.
McGriff came up 86-ish. 85.
Oh, so I guess even him
was,
towards the end.
he was close to the end.
Right.
Greg Vaughn, wasn't he on those
Mhm.
teams? Yeah.
Man.
They got rid of this logo too quick. Side note.
They did. Well,
It's a
they
little involved.
recently brought it back. So
Yeah.
I like it.
They've been doing it in not black like the old one, but it's like a navy blue, and it still looks nice. Like I love it. Full count here to Burke.
Yes, it was who got Burke last time? Stewart got him, didn't he? With a
Yeah.
breaking ball.
Yeah, that was that golf swing into the dirt.
Good battle here.
Very good. It seems like he's kind of going more toward the plate, and Burke's at least getting a piece on it. That's not. He started going away, and he just couldn't catch the zone. But then I guess he got a few strikes in there.
Did you guys
Just
see the
covers
picture
too much
they
of the
showed
plate.
earlier of
The what?
the picture they showed earlier of Tony Vitello in his TCU days with Schlossnagle? He looks.
Oh yeah,
He's already like one of the younger coaches in the league, but like he looked really young.
it looked like almost my age.
No beard.
Right. I was baffled at that. Did they say, I didn't catch this. Did they say the manager on that team? Like, were they assistants?
No, Schlossnagle was the head coach, and
Oh,
Vitello
I
was
see.
the assistant coach. I think he was there for like 2 or 3 years. Left TCU, went to Arkansas to Tennessee.
Right.
Wow, you can't take that if you're Blake Burke.
Yeah,
And he knows it.
not in that spot.
Let me see. I'm getting the replay on it. Oh,
The thing is, Duke Burke is not right on top of the plate, so that was clearly
Tennessee
didn't
had
like
a
the call, but
right,
I think he's
and
more
Tennessee had a
frustrated
few
than felt.
pitches. I felt like they left a lot of pitches over the middle where they normally would be aggressive on the night. Not necessarily in scenarios like that, but even early in at bats.
Yeah, but A&M just threw a lot of good pitches, though, Alfred. I mean,
Right.
a lot of them were balls that were headed out, and just caught the zone, just in the nick of time.
Right. No, they're
This staff's really got good breaking stuff, and they're hard to handle.
yeah. No, and we said earlier the tempo for them was phenomenal and has been. Oh, Billy Amick needed that.
By the way, Graham, what was the weather in Starkville today? What's headed my way? More mid-90s?
It's hot.
Yeah,
It's hot. I thought about going outside, taking the dog for a walk, stepped outside and was like, not happening today.
I washed the car in the shade at about 5 this afternoon and was still just
baking.
Sweating a lot. All right, this is the last guy I want to face.
Right now,
Even if
yeah.
he is a lefty. He just well, and the guy after him, Hunter Ensley's swung a good bat this
Right.
tournament.
No, those two have been the go-tos tonight for any kind of offense they've created. Especially with, an O for Christian Moore, and then up until this point, an O for Billy Amick.
Yeah, the key guy coming up here is Tears, because Tears has not hit well tonight. These guys each have 3 hits, and then Curley behind him has been good.
He's in that. What is he now? 3 for 4, 2 for 4.
He's got 3 hits. That's gosh, make that 4 hits.
Oh, there you go.
Here's another one.
I haven't seen it yet, but God,
Got it. Got to
real
think a mound visit is coming.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's not an easy ball to get to. But if Laviolette's healthy,
You going back to the home run if he catches it?
Right.
let's see where this goes. I mean, he caught it on one bounce. Do you make a diving attempt and you got a guy backing you up? I'm just wondering how much that. I mean, that's probably a hit anyway. I'm just wondering how much that hamstring is affecting him. All right, I feel like this is where you got to get one because Tears has not been really good tonight, and your DH spot hasn't given you much either between whatever you've thrown out there.
That
Having
breaking
said that,
ball.
Tears probably hits a grand slam to tie it here in a minute. That's probably the way this plays out.
That breaking ball from Ashenbeck is that's the same kind of one that got Burke. That is a really good pitch.
Tennessee has taken a lot of these tonight.
That's what I was kind of looking at it, and I think you're right. It didn't really play like a huge factor as I kind of made it out to be, but it's just something I noticed. And normally I feel like they swing at those.
They are an aggressive team. I don't usually
Right.
see them taking this many pitches because maybe this is the spot to do it because, like I said, these guys have all got good breaking balls.
Yeah.
Gosh, that was up for where it could have been hit, but
Oh, he went with a hook.
Oh man, yeah.
I'm just not. Wow. You don't see Burke's taken, I think, the worst swing I've seen him take all year, and then got tied up watching one a minute ago, and then Inslee swings at that. And that's not me bagging on Tennessee. That's just me saying you're seeing these guys do things to these hitters that you don't see done to them all year.
Right.
And I don't think, I mean, Kavares Tears is good enough to deliver here, but I'm thinking that's with the night he's had, that's the last thing he wants to see is a lefty with an A+ bender.
Yeah.
And then he got away with the fastball on the first pitch that looked like could have been hit.
Almost 50 pitches, though.
Most of it's come this inning. I'll bet you $100 is a breaking ball coming up 0-2. Wow, he didn't. Tears is still behind it.
He's gone back-to-back fastballs.
Yeah, Tears can't catch up to it. And it's
which is weird. I'm just thinking breaking ball in the dirt away. I mean, you got a guy on third, but you got a 4-run lead. So who really cares? Plus, Appel's a pretty good catcher.
And that's got to be what Tears is thinking, is breaking balls in this at bat. And I think this fastballs are throwing him off guard.
That's the whole thing. Do you catch a guy off guard, or do you go with your best stuff?
Mm-hmm.
To me, I'm going with my best stuff. But
oof, there it is.
Yep.
And there was a breaking ball. So, okay, so A&M wins at 9-5. Your winner, Josh Stewart, who again I thought, guys, that was the key moment of the game to me. When A&M had a shot, or Tennessee had a shot to get close. Stewart coming in 2 on, nobody out in the 5th in relief for Prager. I think that was your key part of the ball game.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you had a position where you really could get yourself within easy striking distance for how your offense is, and you don't come up big. And I mean, they had the basic kind of offense to it. I mean, it was, they had they were double figures in hits. They left a lot of guys on base as much as A&M did. And in the end, they didn't take advantage of the opportunities Tennessee didn't, like Texas A&M took advantage of theirs. And I think in the end that Graham said that. And in the end, that was the biggest thing. The one thing for any Tennessee people watching, I think you got to like kind of how you were ending that game. I mean, you had 2 home runs, and then you had a little bit of a rally against Aschenbeck towards the end there. And you kind of got to take that energy into tomorrow, because I don't think you're going to find yourself kind of coming back at any point if you fall behind A&M like that again.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the night, you can win games later in the series the way you close these out. I think getting Aschenbeck out there again, I think they can use him tomorrow too. But that line, goodness, he goes 2-2. He faces 10 batters tonight, guys. He struck out 7 of them.
Wow.
A&M pitching struck out 17 Tennessee hitters tonight.
That's incredible.
That's unreal.
Stewart had 4. Prager had 6.
Other thing to remember, A&M, they still have not lost in the postseason.
Yep.
They go over and Hoover and have been undefeated since. They have just been on quite the run.
Did Ole Miss run the table, or did they lose one to Oklahoma?
In the championship series, Ole Miss won the first 2 games. Ole Miss did lose to Arkansas, so they played Arkansas again.
That's right.
So the winner would have played Oklahoma. If Arkansas would have won, I strongly think Arkansas would have beat Oklahoma that season. It was the Dylan DeLucia complete game victory. That game was like an hour and 50 minutes. Like that game was flying by. That was the 2-0 Ole Miss win against Arkansas.
Who was the last team to go through the postseason unbeaten?
Good question. Well, we know it wasn't last year. We know it wasn't LSU. Ole Miss lost. I think State lost. I don't remember State running the table.
No.
I have it right here. UCLA in 2013.
So a while. Wow.
Yeah.
I know Graham knows who the starting pitchers for those were, but do you, Alfred?
No, not off the top of my
Trevor
head.
Bauer and Garrett Cole.
She heard them. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now those ring a bell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was in Mobile that year, and Trevor Bauer immediately got sent to us in Mobile, wearing his Letterman jacket and everything.
Those are 2 good arms to have. So I guess that helps going unbeaten through your postseason, having those 2 guys.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Was that Arizona that year? Did Arizona go back again, or am I thinking
Who are we talking about?
UCLA, who they beat in the World
They beat
Series?
Mississippi State.
That was the Hunter
Renfro.
Yeah.
Right.
Whom one of us in the group might know.
Yeah.
Just family connection for sure.
Yep.
But that Mississippi State team was loaded too. They had Adam Frazier. I mean, he's been in the big leagues for a decade. So
yeah,
you can, when you look back and look at the talent in that championship series, you can see why those were the last 2 teams in the dance for sure.
All right, pitching tomorrow. Tennessee will go with Beam. They didn't throw Snead tonight, didn't throw Combs tonight. So Tennessee's in a good place pitching wise. And the way Sechrist is thrown too, you're going to need a game 3.
Right.
So I don't think you can feel bad at all where you are. I mean, Tennessee can bring back Loy for another game. They could bring back Binky, probably game 3 if they got there. Kirby Cannell could throw all 3 games if needed. You could even maybe you could bring back I don't know. Causey threw 74 pitches tonight. That might be asking a lot. I mean, although if you're Kevin O'Sullivan, you got Brandon Neely, nothing's off limits.
Right.
So I don't think I know Tennessee fans are kind of panicked tonight, but we've seen several teams lose game 1 and come back and win the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just think pitching wise, and not that A&M is in awful shape, but they're clearly in better shape pitching wise to me going forward, because I presume A&M will go with Lampkin tomorrow, who threw he threw on Wednesday, Alfred?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And threw how many pitches?
It was, let me see. It was high. I'll go pull him up, but they'll go Lampkin. They can do, as I'm looking this up, Rudis only threw that 1 pitch that was a home run, so they can obviously do him again. They didn't see Chris Cortez. They can go with him out of the pen. They can do, I mean, they have their options open as well. Lampkin threw against Florida 5 innings. He went 70. So
okay,
that's, yeah, I mean, you can get a good half decent start out of that. I feel like it's not going to be anything extensive, but again, with Chris Cortez, I don't think you really need it to be.
Well, I mean, they could do that. There's been some talk that they might give him one more day of rest. Now that you've won an opener, you can save him for game 3. I
Are
don't know.
you
I mean,
tempted
you
to
could,
do that? You're red hot.
yeah.
You haven't lost a game all postseason. I would.
I mean, I'm
I would-
tempted. You've thrown him 3 times in a week. If you throw him tomorrow,
Right. No,
I mean,
so
you
if you
could go. I don't know if you could go like Isaac Morton was there 4, but he didn't throw
Right.
that many innings. I don't know if you could use an opener like a Weston Moss or Brock Peary or somebody like that. I don't know. I mean, they're not. I mean, the problem with them is like what would work 98% of the time, and you feel like, okay, we got a fighting shot with that. Tennessee's in that other 1 or 2% where I don't know.
they could do, I mean, would you just start Cortez? Do you think that if you go that route, or is that kind of
Yeah, that's an idea. That is an idea. You could start Cortez tomorrow,
right?
and then you could go. You could rest Aschenbeck for game 3 if you need it.
Right. Either
And
way,
Cortez can give you a lot of. I don't know if Cortez started all year,
He's got 3.
but I mean he pitched
Mhm.
starters like outings with pitch counts.
right. No, and in the end, people are saying it in our comments. The beauty of that whole thing is, if you just want to go Lampkin, fine, and you can literally open with Lampkin, and you can trust Cortez to go extensive and still have Rudis, Badmev, and then Aschenbeck, even if you still want to do it or need it. So I think they're open. I think they could be open to it, but in the end, you can. They could have a way to work around Lampkin not going as long as he normally would.
Let's see if Cortez started this year.
He has 3, right, Graham? Is that what you said?
He started 3 times.
When's the last time he started?
Let me see.
Thanks for the super chat, Scotty Oates. A&M threw its best punch, and Tennessee gifted them, leaving 12 runners on base. You aren't likely getting that. Balls in 3, and the next 2 are routes. I don't know about the next 2 being routes, but I kind of thought coming into the series, this might be an A&M wins game 1, and Tennessee takes game 2 and 3. I think that Tennessee's in a little bit better pitching place, I think, but it's not a runaway. I mean, you get Lampkin for a game somewhere, and here's I don't think you want to take a chance with Tanner Jones as bad as he's been lately, but
Yeah.
he is on staff, and I'm pretty sure on the roster in Omaha.
The other thing for Tennessee, like, who had them losing 1 game to Evansville? I didn't see that happening. So they've had their backs against the wall. So I don't think they're gonna hit the panic button, do anything like that. So, they've been in similar situations before. So they'll regroup and they'll be ready for tomorrow. It's a way earlier first pitch start time tomorrow, 1:00 Central.
Yes, that's really what 3.5 days rest if you're going to go with Lampkin. I don't know about that, guys. That's one of those, if it goes wrong, you open yourself up to a lot of questions. I mean, Cortez threw 8 pitches Wednesday. I know they use him out of the pen usually. I think I'm tempted to go that and see how it goes.
Right.
And keep Lampkin in your back pocket.
Yeah, because you got a game to play with.
Yeah. Yep.
And he can do it. I mean, he's gone 5 2/3 against Oregon. Sorry, Graham, by the way. But yeah, I mean, he's gone long before, so you can easily do it with him. Interesting, though, to say the least, that kind of scenario they have.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Tennessee, it's not hard to map out either way. I mean, It's really not hard to map out. You've got quality arms any way you go. We're just
Right.
debating, can you use the top part of your staff? And the top part of both these staffs are excellent.
It's easy. And I think the big thing too, just to talk about Tennessee, I said it all night, but I'll say it again. You're gonna not want to fall behind, and a big part of doing that is you want a Drew Beam good start like he got against North Carolina. I mean, to date, I could probably go and pull another great start he had this year, but to date, that's the best start I think I can remember from him by memory. Obviously, it was recent, but I just think in general it was one of his best, if not his best. And if you get that kind of work from him, you put yourself in a good spot because we saw this Tennessee offense come alive late, and that's something they could definitely carry into tomorrow. And if they do that and get a good start out of Beam, I kind of like their chances to win. So that's the big thing I take away from Tennessee. And with A&M, obviously Lampkin Cortez, either way you go with it, you have a great formula put together for success as well, and just continue to run your own tempo pitching and throw these Tennessee hitters off balance like they did all night.
Graham, what else you got heading into Sunday?
I look for Tennessee to bounce back. Expect them just to come out throwing haymakers, and A&M. You can just tell they have so much confidence playing with poise right now. So should be another interesting and fantastic matchup. And I'm fascinated to see what happens. You're looking at two programs looking for their first baseball championship, and then two very well respected head coaches. Slosh Nichols he's been doing this a long time. Does he get his first, or does Tony Vitello and the Fighting Tennessee Vols, do they force game 3? So I can't wait for it.
Graham, here's another thing for you. Tennessee will be the visitor tomorrow. You almost always want to be the home team, but I'm thinking if you're Tennessee, you might like the chance to go out and put up 3-4 more runs on the board.
Put the pressure
before
on
the other teams. Yeah, because you saw how that happened tonight. A&M did it right out of the gate, and then I thought you saw Tennessee tense up. It made some errors in the field. Your chance, if you're Tennessee tomorrow, is to kind of go and flip the script on what the Vols did to A&M tonight.
Mm-hmm. And that's been their MO, all season and for a long time since Tony Vitello's been there. So I don't think that they're going to panic, anything like that. Just roll over and quit. They will definitely regroup, and both of these teams will be locked in and ready for a good game too.
Yeah. Final thoughts. Somebody asked if we look at the comments. Yeah, we do most of the time. Sometimes we hide.
Actually, I've never once in my life looked at the comments. Not once.
That's not the worst thing.
I'm just kidding.
They're kinder here than they are most places.
Right. That was sarcasm, everyone. By the way, I'm not good at it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what's in the comments. People pointing out Cortez was their long guy. Yeah, and we know that. We watched a ton of SEC baseball. We're just postseason sometimes a little bit different. As people pointed out, they can still use Lampkin, Rudis, Cortez. I mean, and they can bring Ashton back. I mean, if you're 2 outs to go tomorrow, and you got a 2 or 3 run lead, and you got somebody out there just not mowing him down, I'd go right back to him.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, I think the first few innings tomorrow are key because I think if you're Tennessee, you want to jump on them early. And I think if you are Tennessee, you got. I mean, it goes without saying, you got to have the start of your career if you're Drew Beam. And I thought last time out, his stuff was as good as I have ever seen it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's the key. I think the key is him, and it's once again the guy who, at most starts at anyone in Tennessee history. I mean, you couldn't have asked for, I think, a better guy. Obviously, on paper, Xander Sechrist maybe, but at all your starters, you couldn't have asked for a better guy to kind of hold down and continue your season, and that's the key. The key for them is him having the early pitching, hot streak like he did against North Carolina compared to what Tennessee had going tonight. Because in the end, like you said, Chris, Tennessee tensed up and they just kind of dug themselves a hole that they got out of. We saw against Florida State, but just couldn't redo it tonight. So that's the key. I think you just need Drew Beam to get out early and take a lot of pressure out of your bullpen, and you have the bullpen arms you didn't use that are money usually most of the time. Snead, Combs, and then Cannell again are the ones that come to mind for them. So that's going to be the biggest thing. Really locked in on what Drew Beam does. That's the main thing I'll watch for tomorrow.
All right, parting thoughts. I'll start with you, Alfred, if you got anything in addition to what you just rolled out there.
Yeah, since I just said Tennessee stuff, I'll go A&M things. Hit like you did tonight, and I think you, in general, you set yourself up nicely. No matter, even if Tennessee gets more runs on the board than they did tonight early on, I think if you're A&M, you're going to be able to hang with them the entire game. And we just talked about it. You have a guy named Evan Aschenbeck coming out of the bullpen who can shut it down. So I think you really put yourself in a good position if you hit like you did tonight. You have a really good with Chris Cortez. No matter how long Lampkin will go, assuming he's the one who starts, you have a guy that goes for a while in the middle there, kind of like what Tennessee normally would have with Causey, but it's their version of it. And they have the formula to kind of end it tomorrow if they want to. They just need to keep up with Tennessee hitting wise. And like tonight, they didn't really need to do that. They got ahead early, but assuming that Tennessee comes out and pitches a little better, just hit like you did today, and you'll keep up with them, and you'll put yourself in a spot to win and get this thing done tomorrow afternoon.
I'm fascinated. What does A&M do starting pitching wise for tomorrow? Like, be curious to see which direction they go, and just kind of what Alfred was saying. The A&M can hit again. They lead the country in walks. Do they take advantage of those opportunities? Can they draw a leadoff walk or two and just deliver on those opportunities, which they did tonight? And for Tennessee, just how will they handle the nerves? Once they kind of settle down after the first inning or two, I do think that they, all right, here we are. Let's regroup, refocus here. Then they tried to make things interesting in that fifth inning, and got a couple big hits later. So a game underneath their belt. Tennessee, how will they handle the nerves tomorrow with an earlier first pitch to Eastern? And we know Tennessee can hit. They hit tonight. They just didn't take advantage of their opportunities. So game 2 is another fascinating matchup.
Yeah, here's my thoughts. I mean, we spent so much time as we talked about these teams, talking about Christian Moore and Blake Burke and the Tennessee lineup, and we've talked about all the pitching options Tennessee's got. We've talked about Prager and Montgomery, who's out, and LaViolette and all those guys. The guys for A&M tonight, and this is why I think they're a little bit better team than a lot of the country is maybe given A&M credit for. The guys that did it tonight. I mean, Aschenbeck at the end, obviously, but Josh Stewart in the middle there. I know the line wasn't great, 2 1/3 innings, 2 earned runs, but he really came in and stopped the bleeding in that 5th inning, got a huge frame to strand 2 guys with nobody out and keep the game where it was. You had Caden Kent, probably the biggest blow of the night, that home run that put them up 9-2. Didn't really realize at the time how big that would end up being. 3 hits, 4 RBIs. You had 2 hits out of Shot, 2 out of Sorrell. I mean, it was that bottom part of the lineup. Jackson Appel was really good tonight. It was those guys that aren't those All-American types, that the guys that get all the press most of the places. It was that depth of that lineup and that pitching staff that won the game for A&M tonight. And I think that's really, to me, again, shows how complete a team that A&M's got. All right, we'll be back at it tomorrow. We will probably live stream either sometime right after the game or towards the end of the game. What we usually do is schedule these ahead of time. We scheduled this one for 9 Central tonight. The timing on that was horrible. In terms of we basically had to Covered the last 4 innings doing this. Yeah, I mean, it just was. So we'll figure out what we'll do tomorrow. We will either probably be on at the end of the game or right when it's over. One more thing. Somebody's calling me out for saying the Aggies didn't play a clean game. Base running mistakes, getting a guy picked off, that kind of thing. I mean, they're not a lot of them. Leaving some guys on base early. I'm not trashing A&M's effort or anything or their defense. I'm just saying there's time or two the execution could have been a little bit better. But anyway, a great game for A&M tonight. Aggies take game 1. We'll be back at it Sunday at some point. For Graham Doty, Alfred Esmond, I'm Chris Lee of Southeastern 14. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.